Welcome to the World Championship for Professional Drone Racing Teams. We're the Drone Champions League and it's race day 6 in split 1 of 2023. We have 2 teams of 8 pilots. They've picked 4 of their roster to fly in a best of 7 against each other, starting with a 1v1, some 2v2s, the big heat with everybody racing, and then more races until we get a winner. Currently, Xblades Racing from the UK are the only team with 5 wins out of 5, and their closest opposition are Quad Force 1 from America, who are extremely close to them on points, and they're battling each other today. So, for today's match, let's meet our loud and proud American team first. Quad Force 1 here with Burkan, Propsicle the captain, Leviathan, who was Rookie of the Year 2021, and Proximo, who's new to the team this year. Their opposition are Xblades Racing out of the UK, with Yayu, who was Rookie of the Year 2022, Star23467, previous captain for China Dragons, Min-Jae Kim from Korea, and Drobot Racer. We are going to be taking in the beautiful location of Stavanger in Norway's Pulpit Rock, an incredible place, a 5-hour trek to get there. You can stand out above almost nothing. We're going to be flying around a lot of this at very high speeds. Let's get right into the racing. Quad Force 1 against Xblades, always a thriller. We're going to start off with Propsicle for the Americans and Min-Jae Kim for Xblades. 16-year-old Propsicle, the captain of the team, been working so many years in that position and flying brilliantly. Min-Jae Kim, he's just 14, came over from the Korean teams, and now he flies for Xblades Racing. And there is just 0.004 of a second between these two pilots. This could be one of the closest races you'll ever see if both of these pilots are flying at their very best. Let's try and keep up as we weave our way around the top of this location before the dive down. 1/100th of a second in it. Nothing in it according to the scoreboard. To the dive through these 3 DCL arches with Propsicle fractionally in the lead over Min-Jae. Underneath this hurdle and then back on yourselves. You just saw Min-Jae fly straight across him. Pushing for the lead, takes it from him on that gate, but by the tiniest of margins. And Propsicle back in the lead by the tiniest of margins. Through Torvald's pair, around this left-hand ladder, and across the rocks we go. Propsicle just ahead of Min-Jae here by 1/10 of a second. That's as big a gap as there's been. Min-Jae sweeps towards him over the lake, closing on him all the time. This is the uphill part on the start of lap number 2. You have to go above this gate and pull back through it. A great turn by Min-Jae gives him the lead now. Leading Propsicle up the cliff, through 1 and then 2 of the Fox Ear gates. Min-Jae just ahead of Propsicle, as you can see there. Propsicle coming in on that turn a little bit wider than Min-Jae. We're talking 100ths of a second lost or gained on these turns by these pilots. Min-Jae there, in front of Propsicle's view, through 3 of these arches very close together, and then a turn, and then 3 of them a little bit further apart. Still Min-Jae just ahead of Propsicle, but we're going for 3 laps. Together they fly under the hurdle. Min-Jae with the better of the turns, just staying ahead. Propsicle just getting closer on some of these turns now, though, with some of these gates in the straighter section, in fact. Propsicle seems to just be a little bit more direct. And he's got away a little bit from Min-Jae now. It's 0.3 of a second. We're on to lap 3. We're over the water, and Min-Jae is closing all the time again. Now for the uphill. It does seem to be on some of the trickier parts of the slaloms on the way up that Min-Jae is moving. And he's gaining on Propsicle right now. Through the 1 and 2 of these. Not a problem for either pilots. Nobody's made any mistakes. And Min-Jae is gaining again on Propsicle by tiny amounts, but consistently doing so. It's got him the lead. Now the dive down. Propsicle maybe doesn't realise that Min-Jae's in front of him. He does now. Into the arches we go. Prop very far over to the right and has just managed to take Min-Jae in there. I defy you to decide who's going to win this. It's so close. It's either pilot's game. Is either of them going to make a mistake first, or is it going to be like this to the very end? Let's find out as we go through the Torvald pair. Min-Jae fractionally ahead of Propsicle. There's not much to go now. Into the ladder. Will this catch either of them out? No, it doesn't. Propsicle now in the lead of Min-Jae. The run to the finish.
Sit down, kid!
Prop,
Sit down!
let's go, dude.
Oh my gosh.
That was, oh my god.
That last
Nice
ladder
flying,
was
dude.
insane.
I've known
my
Propsicle
gosh.
for many years now. I've never, ever seen him like that after a race. That was huge pressure for him. Commiserations to Min-Jae for not getting the win after all of that. Propsicle goes again now with Proximo against Yayu and Drobot in the first of the 2v2s. So teams will sometimes put a pilot from the opening 1v1 straight into the following 2v2 to let them race off the back of it, as Quad Force 1 have done here with Propsicle. Other teams, such as Xblades now, arresting Minjay after that first race and bringing in Drobot and Yayu. All these four brilliant pilots, very close. We're on board with Drobot at the moment, who's through the first of the Foxier gates and hit the rock after the second one. He shakes his head. That's caught him out. That's sent him 2.5 seconds behind. So the light blue drone on your screen is Yayu amongst the American pilots. We'll go on board with him as he chases Propsicle down. And oh, Yayu into that DCL gate, puts him down into third. He's had a few problems so far this season. That's going to really upset him. He's now a second behind both of the Americans. So let's see what Proximo can do and whether he can catch his teammate and captain Propsicle. Or Propsicle's going to have a little bit of an easier run of it after his last race. Through Torval, they'll both go into the ladder. Proximo with a big pre-turn. No problems there, but he's still 0.7 of a second behind his teammate. And then Yayu and Drobot still very far out of the picture. Propsicle may well just take that fire in the gut from that brilliant win he got just now and turn this into a very clean run. Can he keep his emotions under control? Well, Yayu is here, and he's gaining a little bit on Proximo, as Proximo has slipped a little bit further behind Propsicle. So Yayu giving Proximo something to think about. Around the cone, moves up alongside him, no problems through that DCL gate. It's very aggressive flying from Yayu, even when he's had a couple of mistakes. He never holds back, and here he is gaining slightly on Propsicle. Still 0.9 of a second to go, and a lap and a little bit in which to do it. If he doesn't get too distracted by Proximo, he's going to really want to try and catch Propsicle, but that is a huge ask. Propsicle almost a second ahead of everybody. Clean Norwegian air for him as he goes through 1 and 2 of the Torval gates. Proximo tries to catch Yayu. Drobot still far out of this race at the back after that calamity at the start. Now clear vision for both of these chasing pilots of the challenge in front of them as we're weaving our way up. It's a good pre-turn. Proximo attacking these gates very confidently. Let's see if he can do it again. Turn early and come down through this one. Oh, the turn blinded him. Bumped off the gate on the upper side. Didn't get through. And in fact, Drobot has caught him as it sent him spinning and out of the racing for so long. Propsicle, surely with a win here for Quad Force 1 anyway. Don't know if Yayu can do anything about a 0.9 of a second gap the way Propsicle is flying. But you see Yayu coming in very steeply on that gate there. Hard over to the side of these arches as he's trying to make all of it as short as possible. He's taken 0.1 of a second out of the gap. He's going to climb up early here. Cut inside on the hurdle as he does, but Propsicle is just as good. Not long to go now. Through 1 and 2 of the Torval gates. It's very close to the ground for Yayu as he's not giving himself any room for error. Around the ladder is good. He's caught him by another 0.1 of a second, but that's not going to be enough.
There we go.
Propsicle beats Yayu.
Yeah,
Drobot's in third. Here comes Proximo. And it's another point for the Americans. What if the racing keeps up like this? What a thrilling best of 7 we could have. Let's meet the other members of the teams. Leviathan and Birkin against Star23467 and Minjay returns for Xblades. Less than 0.1 of a second between all four of them out of the blocks. And they weave their way up the rocks with Birkin just behind everybody now. That's a messy start for him. Oh, unlucky Birkin. That's Dimo Terev racing out of Bulgaria for the team. Used to race for Drone Sports Global, came over to Quad Force 1 a couple of seasons ago. Struggling to get into this race around Norway. His teammate Leviathan, as I said at the beginning, the Rookie of the Year in 2021. Big performer for them in 22. Bumps his way around this season in this track. That's given Minjay and Star23467 some clear space. We've already met Minjay Kim. Thomas Kunt is Star23467, a brilliant German pilot, formerly the team captain of China Dragons, and was very happy there, but got a great offer to move over. Leviathan trying to catch them, not going to do it like that in a ladder. That is extremely uncharacteristic of him. He's brilliant at those kind of turns normally, but he's a long way behind now with Birkin. 2 points ahead, the American team. They're going to be glad to have that lead if this race continues, as Minjay and Star are having a lovely time racing over this beautiful location. We've been there in real life. We finished our 2022 season there. Wonderful location for real life or virtual flying here in DCL the game. Minjay still with a short lead over his teammate. Let's take a look at their routes here. Tight turn. And then to the arches, again down the right-hand side. We see it there with Star and Minjay. Instead of going square down the centre, pilots do tend to be over the right-hand side. Look out for that in the next races coming up. Around and through this, DCL closed their gate, no problem. Minjay, 0.3 of a second ahead of Star. Not too low to the ground, like we saw some pilots earlier on. Both of these pilots very safe around the ladder with no problems. A third lap about to begin as we reach the water and go through this climb. Let's see how they both fly across the pond, no problems. Up through this DCL gate, that's a straight one, but then remember, as you make your way towards the rest of the climb, you've got to go over and back through this one. Steep turn to make yourselves up that section. Through this Foxeer gate, back on yourself to make the next one. A few slalom turns again around the top. And then the dive is another one of those gates that you have to fly past and then back through. A little bit easier this one than the one on the way up. And now on the arches, again, look at that, right over to the right-hand side for Star. Everybody thinking that gives you a better chance of making the next turn quickly. Star and Minjay under that hurdle. Flying in a lovely little bit of formation work. It's 0.2 of a second. Star has caught Minjay a little bit. He doesn't need to, of course. The point is going to be theirs unless something dramatic happens for these two pilots, but they're having no trouble with the ladder and no trouble with the run to the finish.
Nice race, Minjay. Nice one.
It all looked fairly smooth and uncompetitive, but actually they both desperately wanted that win. Minjay got it. Now we're heading to the legendary Big Heat here at the DCL, where all 8 pilots fly at the same time. This could be extremely close, couldn't it? Let's see with the start. Solid by everybody. Proximo already being left behind, though, and Star drops down a lot of places. We're on board with him. 6 drones ahead of him. Oh, he caught the opposite side of the turn on the inside of the gate. After that amazing race he just had with Minjay, this one's gone off for a terrible start for him. Minjay is at the front. Drobot and Yayu and Propsicle all scrapping around there as well. The other American pilots a few tenths behind. So we've got Minjay with Propsicle just on the outside of him, as you see there. Minjay therefore gets the earlier turn. Oh no, it has caught that gate and is having a terrible time finding the entrance to the first of the DCL tunnels. He's dropped down into 7th. Star's ahead of him. Drobot and Yayu, his teammates ahead of them. Propsicle's the one at the front. Quad Force 1 looking to extend their lead over Xblades, but it's very early in this race. There's Yayu again, so close to the rocks as we saw him do earlier. Solid work around the ladder. That's Drobot, his teammate, just in front of him. He's not making it any easier for himself. He's still flying this as aggressively and confidently as we saw him do earlier. He's just got to make it a bit smoother and get up to the front. Propsicle, the dive down through the gate is good. Yayu and Drobot with him. Birkin having a better race of this, still in contention. There's Star following them all on the way up as well, who's 1.5 seconds behind. Propsicle doing a great job of leading his team and leading races. Yayu's look here. Drobot just alongside him. Propsicle in front. Yayu making the tighter turn, far too tight. Right into the outside of the gate. That was way too soon. Knocked him very heavily out of contention, I think, leaving Drobot up the front 0.5 of a second behind Propsicle. What happened to Yayu there? Maybe just a little bit too eager. The turn was far too soon. Drobot pre-turns very early for the ladder, makes it work. Good aggressive flying from him. 0.4 of a second behind. 1 lap to make the win. Propsicle's been flying so cleanly, though, not having any look of any problems at all. Drobot's heading a bit wider to this top gate. Coming in across it, not falling too far below it. Lovely flying from him. He's caught up by 0.1 of a second. And through that Foxeer gate was a great turn as well. Drobot is coming for Propsicle. The gap is getting smaller. Here on the final lap of this, he's getting closer still. Here comes the dive. Drobot, 0.2 to do. Both of them flying the same route very centrally through the arches that time. Now coming around this pylon before this hurdle. Can Drobot get inside him, underneath him here? Not yet. Propsicle still in the lead as they head out over the rocks. Through this Torvald pair where Yayu has been flying very low. Drobot also very low. There's a ladder coming up. Could this do it? This 360 degree. It's a very good pre-turn by Drobot. It's 0.1 of a second between them, but the race is over.
Let's go.
Nice times.
Alright, give me one more. Give me one more. Give me
One
one
more,
more.
one more.
One more.
Freaking one more. Go, go.
One more, one more.
One more, they say, and that'll get them a huge win over Xblades, because Propsicle's just made it 3-1. He'll sit out as Leviathan and Proximo come in for the next 2v2. Minjay and Yayu, gotta stop them now. Remember, it's a best of 7. We've had 4 races. Now we go into another 2v2. There'll be another one after this if we need it. If we get to the 7th race, it will be a 1 versus 1 to take it all. And the pilots have to be different than those who lined up earlier. So we've got Proximo in this with Leviathan behind both of Minjay and Yayu. Although Leviathan has got something to say about that, as it's less than half a second between all 4 of these pilots at the moment. Proximo trying to hang on to the other more experienced pilots in front of him. Leviathan's had a couple of bumpy races. He's got to try and make this one really clean. Minjay and Yayu are a deadly pairing. 4 Xblades, and currently they're 1 and 2. Proximo trying to catch him. He's got everybody in front of him at the moment here on lap number 1. Good early turn out of the hurdle and the pylon after that as well. That's what you got to do. Cut all these corners as tight as you can. His route is low too over these rocks, which are all perfect scans of what the landscape is actually like in Stavanger. His teammate Levi is currently in front of Minjay, now behind Minjay. Going to move up in front of Minjay after that turn there. Proximo, though, over the water. Lost half a second on the fight now and more. There goes another second from his recovery. Levi's got it all to do by himself at the front. Levi Johnson racing as Leviathan. Got passed by Minjay Kim. Passes Minjay Kim on the next turn. It goes back and forth between both of them. Yayu currently in 3rd. Can he make it a clean run? He's got all the speed, he's got all the aggression, but he's just got to make it through all the gates as cleanly as the pilots in front of him. Swinging to the right, making that left-hand turn out through the second set of arches with Minjay and Leviathan still in front of him. Only 0.04 of a second between them. Now even less. Yayu, this is this section where he flies very, very low as he tries to get into this fight. Making that work. Now the ladder, got to be clean. It's not! Yayu has hit it and is all over it and is now through it. Far, far behind everybody else. Levi still with Minjay for company up front on the 3rd lap. 1/10 of a second between these 2 brilliant young pilots. The drop has been good for both of them. Up to the Foxeer gates. Minjay now in front of Levi. Levi trying to hang on to him. 0.3 of a second has opened up here. The weave around the top of the rocks is good for both of them. The dive down. Minjay is just starting to get away now. Levi's got to keep it together. Through the arches, straight down the middle into the second set of them, slightly further apart. Trying to gain on Minjay. Running out of time to do it. Can he do it on this corner? It's so early. It looked like he could just make it, but he didn't. With that, he's gone to the back behind Proximo. And Minjay has 3 seconds of clear air between him and his teammate, let alone the American team. 3-2.
Nice one, man. Really good.
TG, yeah.
Minjay, nice and smooth sailing from him at the front, no matter the pressure he was under. And a really important point, that keeps Xblades in the fight. We go to race 6, Propsicle and Burkan against Drobot and Star 23467. Based on how Propsicle has been flying, you would think he's a really good shout for taking the win here. Drobot won't let him get it easily, though, as you see already. Burkan close behind, Star in between those groups of pilots. Early turn for Drobot through the Foxeer pair. Keeps up with Propsicle, not in front of him yet. Burkan trying to hang on at the back, starting to get a little bit left behind now. His turns are a little bit wider. That one, as you see, his exit was very wide. He's a second behind. Up front, it's Propsicle, Drobot, then Star. Here's Burkan's views. He tries to get back into the race. Already, the race starting to slip away from him, but we do get a great view here of everybody's route to the hurdle on the left-hand side. Burkan a bit more hesitant, out of it. Oh, and on that turn. Simple 180 around the pylon. That's going to hurt. Propsicle, again at the front by himself. Laddering ahead of Star and Drobot. They've swapped places. Here's Drobot's view. Sees Star 23467 just ahead of him. Propsicle alongside him, it seems, as there's so little between them. Star might get him on the drop through the gate. Drobot's gone wide again. That route across, not quite as quick as last time, but still very good. His turn here for this Foxier gate is very early again. He's making that turn work out really well, but Star is really coming into this. 0.04 of a second behind Propsicle, giving him a lot to think about. We're only halfway through this race. Drobot and Star will not let Propsicle go, and they can't afford to. Remember, they have to win this race, or the series goes 4-2 to Quad Force 1. Propsicle looking pretty unbeatable. It's got to be said, but Star and Drobot are giving it everything they can. Trying to get underneath him now. Star a little bit closer. Trying to get above him. Everybody's just got these lines down. They're all taking it so well. Drobot a little bit wider on the second part of the ladder and still only 0.3 of a second behind the lead. Star is still with Propsicle onto the third lap. Drobot attacking this so aggressively now. Star, 0.1 of a second. Propsicle ahead of him, looking to take Quad Force 1 into a big win over Xblades. They've very rarely done it in all of the years of DCL's history. They've hardly ever beaten Xblades, whether it's real-life flying or whether it's virtual sim racing. Wherever we've been around the world, Quad Force 1 joined in 2018. They started with us in the Munich Olympic Park with our real-life racing series. They took that year to a real battle with Xblades for the World Championship title, but couldn't quite beat them. And ever since then, they've very much been behind Xblades, with very few exceptions. Right now, Propsicle could be about to give his team the big win over Xblades during the season. 0.007 of a second. Star is attacking the ladder. He's getting alongside Propsicle. He's in front of Propsicle with hardly anything left. Less than 0.1 of a second between them.
Let's go! Wow.
Let's go.
Drobot can't believe it. He roars with delight for Star, who's kept them in the fight. And Drobot is up now against Leviathan in the do or die winner takes all final race of the best of 7. Now Levi is going to have to fly out of his skin here. Drobot has been consistently battling in every race so far. Leviathan, on the other hand, he was last in both of the 2v2s he's raced in and 7th out of 8 pilots in the big heat. He's had a really inconsistent performance. Right now, he's where he needs to be. He is 0.3 of a second ahead of Ashton Gamble, that's Drobot Racer, for Xblades Racing. They're huge rivals. The dive down, he's still in front. 0.2, 0.3 of a second. Through the arches, Drobot follows him into the second set of them. Trying to cut a little bit in the middle of that, but early days yet. Good around the pylon. Here comes the hurdle. We know Drobot's very good here. He's slightly tighter on it and the pole afterwards than Leviathan, and he's closed the gap to within 0.1 of a second and is trying to take it from him in the 2 Torval gates into the ladder. Drobot might get him here, and he does, and he's away from Leviathan. 0.1 of a second between them. Not very much. Start of lap number 2. Levi mustn't let losing the lead get to him. He's very much in the fight of this. He's just got to keep it going with no mistakes to the end. Drobot rises high for this entry. He's good there. Levi is better. And on the climb out, Drobot's back into the lead. Levi's got him again. Into the Foxier pair. One pilot in front of the other and back and forth it goes. Levi back into the lead. 0.1 of a second ahead of Drobot. Giving a little bit away on a couple of these turns, although Drobot's gone a little bit wide on that one. Is it intentional? His route is very different to that turn back. And in fact, he's gained on Levi in doing so. Into the arches. Drobot, 0.004 of a second behind Leviathan. This climb is surely where he'll take him. And Levi's fighting back. Drobot, Levi, nothing between them. But you know that Drobot has been consistent all the way through a race, and Levi has got into a bit of a problem here and there. Drobot will feel like his usual consistent flying could win in this race. Levi has got to keep it in check. The gap is just starting to open at times, but Levi is coming back now. On the climb. Drobot's great here. Levi was better last time. They're so close together. In and out of each other's vision onto the third lap. First gate of those. That's amazing flying by Levi. It was like that Foxier gate wasn't there. He's coming for Drobot. He's alongside him, and Levi is really coming into his own now. Here's the dive. He's fractionally ahead of Drobot. The climb back up into here. Both pilots are good. It's very smooth for Levi, like he's under no pressure at all. Drobot is all around the back of him, trying to find a way past. Around the pylon, to the hurdle. 0.005 of a second. Levi is still there. Hardly any of this race to go as we make our way to the Torvald pair, and Ashton Gamble, Drobot might be feeling like this race isn't his after all. Into the ladder, he's got to get inside Leviathan, and he does! Leviathan is behind, they head to the finish gate, there's only 2,000s in it!
Yes! No!
Levi
My
gets
God.
the win
Oh
for the
my
Americans!
2,000s.
What?
What on earth?
Propsicle
You're
can't
insane,
stay in his
bro.
seat. It is 2,000th of a second, and that's the win for Quad Force 1. We have to give commiserations to Xblades for their battle in that incredible series. Propsicle ended up with 3 wins. Leviathan got that amazing one at the end. That rivalry always delivers. Elsewhere, the reigning world champions Raiden pushed aside Haven, and we had a really close battle between STT Perpetuum Coin and Cyclone. Xblades are still top, but Quad Force 1 are alongside them now, with both of them 5 wins out of 6. Just 3 race heat points difference between them. Then Cyclone Racing, Raiden, STT Perpetuum Coin and China Dragons are all on 4 wins out of 6. Next race day will be at the home of the 2018 World Championship final, that's Lake Zurich. Join me for that, I'm Matt Andrews, we'll see you in the skies.